What's up, guys? It's been a while, and no, I'm not dead, and I'll go over that real quick because some people thought I was. And I'm going to break this video up into three topics today. So, number one, I'm going to quickly cover where have I been. Number two, we're going to talk about have FFTCG prices gone up. And number three, I'm going to talk about what do I think about the future state of FFTCG and is FFTCG worth investing into right now? So let's just start with topic number one. Where have I been? I know I haven't uploaded in a long time. I took down my website, or rather, I just stopped paying for it. And some people have had several theories that they either emailed me or when I outed myself on the FFTCG marketplace, they messaged me privately and asked me. So no, I did not have any kind of medical emergency. I've been completely fine the entire time. I've still been collecting quietly. Nothing happened to me. I just ran out of time to maintain the website. And I wasn't getting a huge amount of views on these videos or anything. So I just stopped because it actually took a lot of effort to make them. Um, Also, if you were following my channel to begin with, I will say that I did not collect any sets after Opus 10. That's why I was quiet, because before a lot of what I was doing was buying the new sets and doing unboxings and stuff. I have not picked up or collected anything after Opus 10, with the exception of a few promos that I liked. The reason for that is if you watch my earlier videos, I don't believe in collecting later sets. They're never worth anything. I come from the Magic the Gathering days. Like, I'm not a player anymore. I don't even collect the cards anymore. But I played a lot right around when Mirage was released. So I had a lot of unlimited cards and stuff like that. I even had like an unlimited Ancestral Recall that I think I just ended up throwing in the trash. But I learned from that experience because if you compare the prices of like an alpha beta unlimited card to something like Mirage, which really in terms of years and how long MTG has lasted was not that much newer than alpha. What's alpha, like 93, and Mirage was what, like 95, 96? Mirage is worth nothing. I don't want to say it's worth nothing. Their sealed product is still worth a lot, but compared to alpha, it's worth nothing. So in my experience, the later sets are worth next to nothing compared to the earlier sets. So after Opus 10, I was like, I'm good. I don't need to collect any farther than this outside of promos. So to sum it up, I've been fine. Nothing's been wrong with me. I did not sell out of FFTCG. I still have all the cards, and kind of panning through these shots here just to prove that. I did not get rid of my cards. I did not lose faith in the game or anything. But as a buy and hold investor, I just kind of ran out of things to talk about because a lot of what I'm doing now is just biding my time and watching the market, which is why I'm making this video now, because a decent amount of time has passed from my last video at this point. So don't worry, guys, I'm not dead. I'm perfectly fine. If you guys try to email me, though, I don't check that email anymore. So just reach out to me on the marketplace. Most of you know who I am by this point anyway. So let's move on. All right, so topic number two. Let's talk about whether or not Final Fantasy TCG has appreciated. You guys know I was one of the earliest investors in Final Fantasy TCG. I've been kind of quiet the past year and a half, so a lot of you boys have probably surpassed me by now. I know some guys went really hard buying FFTCG products. But what I'm going to do here is we're going to just scope out a handful of big ticket items, and I'm going to talk about what I paid personally for these back in the day. And I use the term back in the day loosely. FFTCG is still pretty new. So when I say back in the day, it's like a year and a half to 2 years ago. So not that long ago, really, in terms of TCGs. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Opus 1 booster boxes. Now, this is something I personally never invested in. I bought a few boxes, but I cracked them because I didn't believe in sealed product because Square Enix had me scared because they had that official statement where they said they had no problems reprinting product if there was demand. I don't know if they backtracked on that. If anyone saw a source for that, feel free to share. or if they just don't feel that there's any demand for Opus 1 booster boxes. But about a year and a half, 2 years ago, you were able to pick these up on Amazon very easily for $90 shipped. And now you could sell them for 500 bucks. So in 2 years, 5x returns, that's pretty killer, right? And it'd be one thing if it like if there's only one sold, it could be like an anomaly, right? Like someone just didn't know what the hell they were doing. But this seems like a pretty consistent trend, right? There's quite a lot of movement in the Opus 1 booster box world for 300 plus. So if you were sitting on a few cases of Opus 1, well done, because you can get rid of them pretty easily at a respectable profit. So that's one thing that definitely appreciated, because there was no way anyone was going to pay $500 for an Opus 1 booster box 2 years ago. They would have laughed at you. They would have said you're freaking nuts. But hey, first gen sealed product for a TCG that's actually, being played, it's always good value, assuming they don't reprint it to death. So let's move on to another really big ticket item, the Wave 1 foil cloud. This one's pretty nuts. So this one I can't see what the actual accepted price was. I think there's websites that can show it, but let's just focus on this one. A PSA 10, which generally sells for less than a BGS 10, a PSA 10 Wave 1 Cloud sold for $1,500. $1,500. And the thing about the Wave 1 Cloud is that it's become the Charizard of Final Fantasy TCG, which is not surprising because Cloud is an iconic character. Now, the funny thing about Wave 1 foils is that I think most serious collectors know this, but newbies might not, is that Wave 1 Legend foils are not any rarer than Wave 1 common foils, because if you buy a case, it guarantees every foil, right? So basically, there's just as many Wave 1 Legend Clouds as there are any Wave 1 foil common. But collecting is all about emotions, right? It doesn't have to actually be logical, because in terms of sheer logic, this shouldn't cost any more than any Wave 1 common foil. But hey, the community has decided that this is the most coveted card, and the Wave 1 Cloud has exploded in value. So as of December, if you have a Wave 1 Cloud in good condition, I happen to have a BGS 10 sitting somewhere in my house or my safe deposit box, I don't even remember where it is. You have a decent chunk of change. And I will say, I don't know how many of these I have. I want to say like at least five. I probably picked them up at an average of about 175. I think the most expensive one I bought, because a dude forced me to buy it as a lot for some other cards I wanted, which include like a Wave 1 Squall. I think the most I paid per unit was like 225. The cheapest I got was probably like 80, something along those lines, like 70 or 80. And they were all pretty good condition. So, yeah, I mean, if you take that 81 and I sell it for, let's just say the low range, 1500, that's like what, like a 17x return in 2 years. I don't know how many of you guys follow stocks. I'm more into stocks than I am into FFTCG, but that would be like a 1 2 year 10 bagger, more than a 10 bagger. That's ludicrous returns. So people who hoarded a bunch of Wave 1 clouds, if you pick them up for under like 250 bucks, you could make a killing here. I mean, granted, this one's graded, but even this raw one, decent activity, 33 bids, and it sold for $560. So you could sell a raw, ungraded Wave 1 Cloud for over $500. That's a lot of appreciation, boys. Like, some of you may not have been around 2 years ago. It did not take 600 bucks to pick up a raw Wave 1 Cloud. Not even close. So, a lot of movement there. So now let's get more general. And what I search for here, basically what I'm doing here, guys, is for those of you who don't know how to search up these prices, go on eBay, type in what you want, and click this sold and completed items. The only downside to this is that it'll only show you like the past 30 days, I think. Maybe there are sites that show you more, so I can't see farther back. But now let's just look at something more general. I searched up here Final Fantasy Wave 1 foil. And check this one out. So I don't know what the actual price here is, but I'm assuming again it's pretty close. Wave 1 full set foil and not non-foil Final Fantasy cards around 6 grand. I picked up back in the day a full Wave 1 foil set for about 700 Australian dollars. I don't remember the exchange rate, but I think that worked out to like 550 USD. That was one of the Wave 1 sets I picked up. Um, so yeah, again, 2 years, that would equate to about a 10x return, right? So again, if you watch my earlier videos, I always said the best thing to invest in is Wave 1. And this comes from my prior experience with other TCGs. Um, the wave one or the first print product is always the one. The growth of the first print product far outweighs any other set. It doesn't even matter if it's the second set, right? Everyone always wants, when in terms of collecting, the best, the first, the best condition. There's no logic in it because the second set might have been like 2 months behind the first set and it'll be a tenth of the value. Wave one is always going to be where the money is at. So 6,000 for that. The cloud is there. A Zidane Wave 1 sold for who knows around 500. This is a funny one. I didn't actually know about this because I was kind of out of the scene for a while. I forget who mentioned this to me. These stupid Wave 1 common Tifas, even these are selling for a lot. Look at this, a Terra Hero Wave 1 foil. I mean, granted, it's a PSA 10, but $300. These Wave 1 cards are selling for so much money. Like, these are kind of cards where I probably picked them up for less than a dollar. I'll tell you guys now what I did back in the day. I don't remember if I ever mentioned this. Back in the day, I used to get so many Wave 1 cards from stores, particularly Big Orbit cards. Now they actually separate the Opus 1 section into Wave 1 and charge a lot more for them. But back in the day, I would actually talk to the guys at Big Orbit Cards and have them go through their lot because they didn't distinguish between Wave 1 and Wave 2. And I'd ask them to find me all the cards that had lower colon placements, and I'd buy extras. And because I couldn't explain to them things like checking the foiling, that's too complicated, right? But they were able to check specific text and colon placement for me, and I would buy them all at ridiculously low prices because these cards were worth nothing. So I have so many Wave 1 foils, mostly the ones with colons, that I picked up for like 25 cents. And these are foils, like 25 cents, 30 cents. I got a Wave 1 Ramza from Big Orbit Cards for I think like 80 cents at one point. It was nuts, which is why I have so many errata. And a lot of these commons, as you can see, are selling for 100 plus bucks now. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. So the people who have huge Wave 1 collections, particularly the ones that have like commas or text changes or legends, hell, that's a crazy return. I mean, I definitely picked up one of these Tifas for less than a dollar. So if I sold it for 250, like a Terra, probably, that's like a 300x return in 2 years. Um, if that was stocks, like when I buy stocks, I generally buy a few thousand at a time. I'd be like a millionaire overnight. So that is pretty insane. And now this next one, I'm just going to show a screenshot, and because I don't want to actually share his name. I'm sure he's not hiding or anything because he's on a marketplace, but still, I don't want to out anyone. But the A002, this is probably the most coveted card in Final Fantasy TCG. When I was hunting this card close to 2 years ago, I can't tell you how many people I reached out to, how many deals went bad. They were bullshitting. They didn't actually have the card, something like that, or just fell through. One of them I actually paid a guy who's a big name in the FFTCG scene $100 just to be the go-between me and him, and because he didn't trust me, and I said, fine, if you don't trust me, you could trust this guy, and I made that deal happen. But look at this post. This guy is willing to pay $7,000 for an A002, which is not surprising because this card is impossible to find, particularly in good condition. I mean, you can watch my video on this card. The way they handed it out was garbage. They're all damaged. So hard to find a good condition one. So I could sell this guy my A002, which is pretty close to mint. I have one that's almost mint, would probably be around a 9.5, maybe better depending on the grader. And I have one that realistically is more like a 9, 8.5 if they're harsh, 9.5 if they're sleeping. But really, I would grade it like a 8.5. I picked up that 8.5 one for 250 bucks. And the guy thought I was overpaying because at the time, paying that much for a single card seemed pretty crazy. And I was just like, I don't care. I want the card. The second one, collectors were already all over this card. So I had to have some competition for this one. Some other dude offered him like 500 or something. This is the one where I had to have like the whatever the deal breaker in between or whatever to vouch for us. And I just said, screw it. I'll give you 800 for it. And he took it. So I have two A002s with a combined investment cost of 1,050 bucks into it. And I could get rid of one of them for 7,000. And the thing is, this guy has been posting like 6,000. Now he's up to 7,000. For $7,000, no one is selling to him. that's that's crazy, right? Like $7,000, and the people who have a mint A002 are not jumping on it. They're still saying, I don't know if we're comfortable with doing that. Like there are people on that forum that have that card. There's one that has like a BGS 9.5 or something, and they don't want to sell at that price. That tells you how rare this card is. And if FFTCG survives, I don't know what the Wave 1 cloud will go to. I don't know what Wave 1 cards will go to in general. They're going to go up. I don't know the exact price. The A002 is going to be the card that hits like 50 or 100K. It's going to be the card. I'm not telling you that it will get there. It's possible it'll be worth nothing if the game dies, right? But if FFTCG is still around in 10 years and people are still actively collecting them, the A002 will be the most expensive card in the game, barring something like if they had like a tournament where like Pokemon did, where they only give the tournament winner like one card, or something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Barring that kind of situation, no card will be worth more than the A002. So I think we covered a few examples of FFTCG cards that went up in value. The conclusion here is that, yeah, the values have obviously gone up, especially compared to what I was paying for these things a year and a half to 2 years ago. So we're going to move on to the next topic now, but I just wanted to show you guys some proof, some background, and some information on what I had paid for these things previously. So final topic is, what do I think about the future state of FFTCG, and is it worth investing into right now? This is the biggest question I get from people on like Facebook and stuff. So my honest answer, and I think this has not changed from my previous videos, is I don't know. Anyone tells you who tells you that they know is full of crap, because no one can actually know that, right? So I think the important thing to understand is the scenarios, because some people actually reached out to me and said, thank you so much. You got me into investing in FFTCG, because I think I was like one of the only people talking about it on YouTube back then. I don't know if there are new people now. But they said, thank you. I invested in a bunch of Wave 1 cards and I've been selling them and I made a bunch of money and it was a slam dunk. So I'm happy for those people. At the same time, I don't think this is 100% correct, because it's definitely been a home run for early Wave 1 investors as of right now. From the prices we saw in topic number 2, we can see that the prices have gone up, right? But no one can see into the future, and I think some people are overly optimistic based on current prices. And I'm not saying don't be happy, but we have to talk about two scenarios. So scenario number one is Final Fantasy TCG continues to grow organically. More people come into the game. Doesn't have to be anything meteoric like 100-fold growth, but enough where Square Enix continues to release new product, have tournaments, LGS is supported, etc., etc. If FFTCG continues to grow slowly and exists for the next 10 years, this is going to be a slam dunk. In this scenario, you bet your ass your card's values will continue to go up. I mean, the main reason I invested into FFTCG was because the Final Fantasy IP is so strong. I've seen way too many failed TCGs because the problem with most TCGs is that it doesn't even matter how good the game is. There are games out there that I've played that are objectively more fun than MTG. Well, at least for me, I guess you can't say objectively. But the point is, it doesn't matter how fun or objectively better the game is if no one is willing to play Switch and play it. Most serious TCG players are simply too invested in Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever, to switch unless they can convince all their friends to switch at the same time, which is a lot easier said than done. People don't like change. But I liked FFTCG because at least it had a strong IP to fall back on, and I felt that collectors would want this even if they didn't want to play the game or have the ability to play the game like me. So as long as the game survives, yes, I strongly believe the values will continue to go up. And I really hope SE does a better job with marketing the damn game because there are way too many Final Fantasy fans and collectors out there who still have no idea this game exists. It's a sin. What I was really hoping for was that they would put a TCG card into Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think that would have been huge for this game. Why do they keep putting it in crap like Dissidia? No one plays Dissidia. I mean, I don't want to rag on the game. I know some people like it, but no one plays it. I don't know a single person that plays Dissidia, and I know a lot of RPG fans. A lot of my friends are into RPGs. None of them have played Dissidia. So hopefully Square Enix steps up their marketing, and it will be great because it's just supply and demand, boys. Wave 1 cards are already hard to find, and you better believe collectors have been looking. If the collector's market doubles or triples, the number of cards available just isn't enough to go around. And when a few thousand new collectors arrive on the scene, you better believe that at least a handful of them have deep, deep pockets. And if you're a collector like me with OCD, you know how agonizing missing that one last little piece of your collection is. And you'll ignore logic completely to fill that hole in your crazy little heart, and you'll pay an ass ton of money for something you don't need. But that's why card values go up. So basically, if FFTCG continues to grow its user base, the game doesn't shut down, and it lasts another 10 years, I think prices for things like Wave 1 Clouds, A001s, etc., getting to prices like 10K plus is not unreasonable if it's in pristine condition. So that's the best case scenario. Scenario two, this is different because sadly, it's also a very likely scenario. This is not something that's unlikely to happen. If I had to guess, it's more like 50-50. You guys are straight gambling here. But scenario two is FFTCG doesn't grow at all. LGSs already don't support it all that much, to be honest, but they drop support entirely because they don't make enough money on it. Square Enix decides the profits are too low for it to be considered, worth their time, and they shut it down. If this happens, this will kill the market, period. Some people think that if FFTCG dies, the prices will stay at where they are now. It won't. It will drop dramatically. So the prices that people are paying now, those cards won't be worth anywhere near as much if FFTCG dies. Let's talk about Chapters, the predecessor of Final Fantasy TCG. Out of print, arguably lower quantities of it out there than FFTCG, worth nothing. You can buy Chapters sealed product on eBay for less than the newest Opus booster box. And these things are old now, right? And they're worth less than a new Final Fantasy TCG Opus box. Useless. The only people picking up Chapters at this point are FFTCG completionist nuts who are picking it up for like nostalgia purposes. No one else. But for all intents and purposes, it is dead. I think the only card from Chapters that retained any value is like the Aya Bree card. I feel like that pops up every once in a while. I think because it's like the first promo. Everything else, as far as I could tell, is worth nothing. And from my own TCG history, I would also talk about Star Wars CCG by Decipher. Probably none of you guys even remember this game. It's an old, old game. I would say it was reasonably popular. Maybe it was never even popular back then. It was crazy complicated for a TCG, which is probably why it never got a huge following. But the more important thing here is the prices. The rarest cards in Star Wars CCG today are worth less than the year that they came out. That's crazy, right? So they're like what, like 15, 20 years old at this point? They're worth less than when they came out. An old asset that's out of print and rare has depreciated in value from the day of release. But this isn't unusual, it's expected for any card game that dies. Again, it goes back to supply and demand. Once a game dies, the demand instantly disappears. When assets go up, it's because the influx of new blood, new players, competes with a limited number of desirable assets. When a game dies, that supply of new blood completely disappears. Even people who already knew about the cards and wanted it at the time, they won't want it anymore. And the sellers who are holding on, hoping for stuff to appreciate in value, they start dumping the market because they see the writing on the wall. They know what's going to happen. We've seen this all before. So if FFTCG dies, all of the cards will be worth nothing. Maybe nothing is a slight exaggeration. Maybe some token cards like the A002 will still maintain a little bit of value, but it'll be a fraction of what they are today. So definitely not what people are hoping for if they dumped tens of thousands into the game, which I know some people have. But it is a possibility, and it's not an unrealistic possibility because some people, like I've mentioned to some people before, and they're like, that's crazy. That's not going to happen. My answer is, why not? It's not like FFTCG is flying off the shelves at all the LGSs. I visited a few, and a lot of them don't even carry it. They said they tried to, they couldn't sell it, no one wanted to play it. FFTCG, it seems like certain select LGSs carry it and they support it because all the players who like it band together at the same LGSs, right? But all the other ones tend to just kind of ignore it. So the possibility of FFTCG dying to me is very, very real, which is why I picked up a lot in the beginning because the prices were so low that I was comfortable with the risk. And this is where I'm going into this topic because I said we talk about, is FFTCG worth investing into now? It's hard for me to answer. I can tell you what I would do from my perspective. If I just found out about FFTCG now, my answer would be no. Because at the time when no one knew about Wave 1 except me, and well, not that's a lie. When a very small number of people knew about Wave 1, to me it was worth it because I was literally picking up Wave 1 foils, like I said, for pennies on the dollar. I could pick up Wave 1 foils, even things like Ramses, for under a dollar. Now you have to dump $300 to $500 to pick those cards up. That's a lot of money to invest in something if you're not reasonably confident that's going to go up in value, right, guys? Like, if I could pick up 10 Wave 1 Squalls and Ramses for a dollar a pop and it ends up being worth nothing, I don't care. I'll throw them in the trash. It was 10 bucks. But if you guys are going to pick up a Wave 1 foil set now, it's going to cost you 6 grand. Um, that's a hell of an investment. So you're really going a leap of faith there. So my conclusion is do whatever you want, right? Like this is not a financial, I'm just telling you what I would do. At the prices that they are now, I would be uncomfortable buying product. For investment purpose, if it's for collecting purposes and you really love it, go for it. Because if you're going to hold on to it forever, who gives a crap anyway, right? But if you're treating this as a straight investment, it is very, very dangerous at the current prices because these things are not cheap anymore. But again, it's up to you. I'm not trying to discourage people or anything. It's in my best interest if new people continue to pay these prices and keep, making these prices go up. Because again, I'm not buying anymore, so I don't really care what you guys do. But I'm just sharing my opinion on what I would personally do. And me paying 150 bucks for a Wave One common foil, that would be outside my comfort level. So those are the two scenarios. I think if FFTCG continues to grow, and I think the players will know that better than I will, because I don't actually play the game or attend the tournaments, so I don't get to see the attendance. If scenario one happens, that's a home run, guys. Anyone who's sitting on wave one cards, you guys are probably going to make a killing. If scenario two happens, all those people, including me, because I'm a big collector, are probably going to get hosed. So just be realistic about the possibilities. Some people go into this with like way too much enthusiasm. They think they can't fail. Oh, baby, it can fail. Lots of TCGs have failed. A lot of people lost a lot of money, not just in FFTCG and Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, everything. Pokemon's in a big bubble right now, in my opinion. So, anyways, I think we'll wrap it up here. Feel free to share your comments or disagreements, whatever. I like having reasonable discussions with people in the comment section below. And sorry I've been gone for so long, but don't worry, like I said, nothing happened to me, perfectly healthy. I was just really freaking lazy. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, maybe I'll start uploading some interesting collectibles I picked up over the past few months, including some super rare Final Fantasy cards, not FFTCG. So make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't before and you're interested in seeing stuff like that. Thanks for watching. Till next time, peace out.